Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. I got some bombshell information I need to share with you today. No intro, no outro, no lower third graphic embellishments, nothing like that. Straight to the point today. So I got some information from one of my primary suppliers of personal protective equipment, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world right now. And I don't say this stuff to toot my own horn, but guys, look at that price of gold skyrocketing. I've been telling you guys for months. We've been calling this thing like it's a baseball game, only the baseball game hasn't happened yet when we call it. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in the next few days. So please stick with me. Now, this company sent me a message indicating that not only are they going to be sending one colossal shipment of hazmat gear. When I say colossal, we're talking about in the tens of thousands of gas masks, hazmat suits, powered air purifiers, various types of gas mask filters that filter out chemical, biological, radiological, and most importantly, nuclear. We're talking about decontamination shower systems, the whole 9 yards. Not only are they going to be sending one order, but they are going to be sending multiple orders. And this is likely going to completely wipe out a lot of North American inventory. Now, you may be asking, oh, why are we sending all the stuff over there? Well, I guess it's priority and, it's business is business. I'm sure at some point, maybe the DOD steps in and says, hey, we need this stuff over here. That hasn't happened yet. That may happen, though. And I'm sure when they do step in, they'll let me know about it because that means that you guys aren't going to be able to get this stuff either. So hopefully you're all fully prepared. You got that squared away. The great thing about a gas mask is that it really has so many uses, especially nowadays. I made a joke in 2020 that you could use your gas mask for the fires that were burning, for the World War III that was potentially breaking out with Iran, of course, that fortunately never came. Then we had riots, so you could use it for tear gas. We had the chemical agents, biological stuff going on. So anyways, there's many reasons to own a gas mask. But why is Europe buying all of this nuclear protective equipment? Why are they doing it? Well, get this. So Poland comes out yesterday, right after I made that video saying that, they're going to be sending warplanes to Ukraine. They come out and saying, no, that's fake news. We're not actually doing that. What they're going to do instead, get this, is they're going to send their planes, their old Soviet era MiG-29s, they probably got them during the Warsaw Pact or something like that, and they're going to send those planes to Germany, to a base in Germany, to a military base in Germany that happens to be run by the Americans. So, okay, they're going to send their planes from Poland to military base run by the U.S. in Germany, who is then going to send these planes to Ukraine. Probably most of them are going to be shot down by the S-400 missile defense system, let's face it. Regardless, they're going to do this. My question is, why does the USA all of a sudden, I'm not talking about you fine people, you 65%, we're all in the same peasant to upper middle class range. We're all in the same boat together. I'm not talking about you fine people. I'm talking about the top brass in the USA. Why are they so concerned with getting military equipment into the Ukraine? Where were they on every other humanitarian issue? I mean, there's not even oil there. So clearly, there's some fight going on that we're not even aware of. Clearly, they're trying to either bankrupt Russia with this war, and it's a war for petrodollars, I should say. This is World War III, is what I'm trying to say. Now, listen to this. What's going to happen when the U.S. rolls these planes? I don't know how they're going to get them across the border, because if they use Germany as a staging ground, that's going to implicate Germany in this. And I'm pretty sure Germany is shaking in their boots right now, thinking about what the U.S. is going to do with these planes. Because remember, Germany has refused to boycott Russian oil because they know, were they to do that, were they to boycott Russian oil and natural gas, their economy would tank overnight. The price of everything would double overnight. There would be yellow vests in the streets. People would be rioting. There would be panic buying. The whole thing would just collapse. And then, of course, we'd be blindsided by another COVID strain or something like that, which would make matters all the worse. Not that it would matter if we were all saturated in ionizing radiation, which would be caused by the World War III that would ensue. Now, Why are they doing this? Well, it seems that it's always been the task of the United States, the top brass, not you fine people, to pit one side of Europe against another. Okay? Because it serves our interest in terms of keeping the price of oil high. There's a lot of oil barons who love that high price of oil, but it also has the effect of making sure that Russia cannot have any sort of leverage in terms of negotiating with Europe. See, US doesn't want Russian oil flowing into Germany. Germany wants it. Probably Germany really doesn't care that much. But remember, they were not going to kill Nord Stream 2. Got one phone call from Biden, and that was basically killed. Nord Stream 2 is now just an $11 billion hunk of rusting steel sitting at the bottom of the Baltic Sea now, and it's probably never going to be used. So now they're still forced to use this pipeline, which is running under Ukraine, which up until a few weeks ago, Russia was paying Ukraine fees to send this oil and natural gas to there. So it appears that this may be a ploy. I'm just saying this is a big maybe, and it's not even that important because the shit's going to hit the fan anyways. But maybe this is a ploy to try to pit Germany against Russia so that Germany says, okay, we are now going to boycott Russian oil and natural gas. Maybe this is a threat. Maybe the U.S. is saying, you know what, if you don't boycott Russia's natural gas and oil, then maybe we're going to send these MiG-29s over from your country somehow, whether we're going to use Germany as a staging ground, or maybe they'll just send them to Romania somehow. They'll work out a deal there. But that's definitely, I mean, the Romanians definitely won't want any part in that. I'm assuming they won't, because, of course, they're closer to the action. Maybe they're going to wheel them over in horse and carriage. I don't know how they're going to get them across the border. I guess just push them across the border and fly them off the highway. What's that going to look like? Is that even going to accomplish anything when you have probably hundreds of S-300 and S-400 missile systems in Ukraine that are dominating the skies right now? Now, one thing that I've also noticed with the whole reporting of this, and it's understandable, when you are defending, when you're the defender, you want to show your population all your victories. But when you are an offender, you don't want to show all your victories, okay? You want to maybe talk about it in numbers, which is what the Russian military spokesperson every day comes out, gives the numbers. We shot down, 100, this, 2,000, this and that, but they never actually show you anything graphic. Whereas the Ukrainian propaganda campaign, which has their own propaganda campaign, some people see propaganda as a bad word. And for the most part, because it's being deceitful, it is. But sometimes you can make the argument that you need to be deceitful to boost troop morale and all that. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that Ukraine always highlights all of their wins, all the planes they've taken down, the tanks stuck in the mud, the convoys that were being exploded. Whereas Russia, you never see that. And it's very hard to find any Russian media now because they've basically been disconnected from the internet. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, they never ever show you anything graphical. They never show you any video footage of, them attacking, a building or something. And of course, they perhaps don't want their people to see the carnage which is being brought by some of these airstrikes. So it's just interesting that if you really want to get the truth, because a lot of people say, they'll see these countless videos being put out showing, troops being caught, prisoners of war, this and that. And it starts to look, because of the confirmation bias, it starts to look like Russia is really losing this war. But I really don't think they're losing it as bad as a lot of people think. You need to remember, it took the United States over a month to conquer Iraq, which arguably had less, well, for one, the whole world at the time was against Iraq. They had no international support. They had no social media propaganda campaigns. Okay, and this is just one country. Sure, they had a sizable army, but they didn't have the type of armaments that, nothing that was threatening the United States in a conventional symmetrical war sense. Okay, whereas Ukraine actually has a lot more. So you would expect that this type of mission, especially if you're trying to minimize casualties and preserve Ukraine as an asset as opposed to a liability, would probably take a long time. Like, where did they get this idea that they were just going to roll in there in a few days? They thought, I guess, well, this is what our media is saying, that Russia thought it was going to blitzkrieg in there, take out the top brass, and immediately put in a puppet government. Did they ever really think about that? It really makes me wonder. Now, one thing you guys need to know, okay? This is huge. Not enough people are talking about this. Russia's economy is all about resources. They're net exporters of stuff, metals, oil. There's probably oil deposits there that they haven't even found yet. That country is so massive and vast. It is predicted that Russia has $75 trillion worth of natural resources. $75 trillion. Okay, the next best country is the US, which only has $45 trillion. So all this talk about GDP, our GDP is higher. What does that really even mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means that you have a service-based economy, and then you have industrial-based economies. Russia is an industrial-based economy. Which one of these economies is going to fare better when the proverbial shizzy hits the fizzy? Well, ask yourself this. Who's going to fare better when the shizzy hits the fizzy? A businessman who's worked his entire life in some upscale, cushy job downtown? Or the farmer who maybe didn't have a great life, didn't have the Gucci, Louis Vuitton and all that stuff, but he was close to the land. So when the shit hit the fan, who had farther to fall? Okay, who's jumping out the windows on the day of the stock market crash? It ain't the farmer. It's the guys at the top. And the same thing holds with the service-based economy. This is why the whole Fortress Russia economy idea is a real thing, because it may be the case that they're not able to watch Netflix anymore. It may be the case that they're not able to access a lot of services that we would enjoy. Mindless shit that really is meaningless anyways at the end of the day. But they will have their needs met. They are a net exporter of food. They have oil, energy. They have what counts when the shizzy hits the fizzy. They have the gasoline. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Having a resource-based economy, having the timber, the oil, the coal, the natural gas, rare earth metals, among other things. And that's another thing, guys. I got word from one of my distributors for lithium-ion power generators that the prices are going to be skyrocketing soon, because the price of these metals as a result of this Russian situation, and of course the price of petrol going up so much, it's going to increase the cost. So you're going to see those fancy lithium generators that we've all come to enjoy over the years, you're going to see the price of that skyrocket in the coming months. Things are just they're about to go bananas. And that is just one of the companies. I know I've been saying this it seems like I've been saying it for like 2 years, talking about inflation. But I just received another message today from one of the biggest manufacturers of wood stoves in the world. And of course, wood stoves are made of metal. And they gave me some frightening news also about potential price increases. So the money is being devalued. That's why the price of gold is going so high. And if you don't think that, like, look at this. That's the price of gold right there. Look at that. This is when I was like, hey guys, I think the price of gold is going to go up. Swing. You guys remember that? Wayne's World. I'm glad I bought in early. I hope you did too. So anyways, what was I talking about? Things are just getting absolutely bananas. Now, apparently, and this is just, I don't know a whole lot about this. Apparently, Russia is going to be pretty much all but disconnected from the internet now. And internet backbone provider shuts off service in Russia. Cogent Communications, an internet backbone provider that routes data across international connections, has cut ties with Russian customers over its invasion of Ukraine, as first reported by the Washington Post. Okay, now Russia has been preparing for this. I watched this one girl's video yesterday. I'm going to try to give her some props. I'll post a link to her video in the comment section below. You can tell her that Canadian Prepper sent you. And she made an interesting point. Because since 2019, Russia has been preparing to be cut off of the internet, okay? So I think it was back in 2019. I got the article here somewhere. Let me just see if I can find it here. I got so much information. Russia successfully tests its unplugged internet. December 2019. The Net Independence Plan is seen as a way for Russia's government to get more control over online life. So they want to kind of have a great firewall like China. But what does this really mean? Okay, and she was talking in this video about, did they know this was going to happen all along? Did they know that they were going to be cut off and that the Iron Curtain was going to come back? And if they did know that, did they know about all these other sanctions which were going to take place? Do they know about the advantage they have in not being a service-based economy? What's a service-based economy? A service-based economy is what we have. Okay, well, we can manufacture cars. We can manufacture TV sets. Actually, we can't even do that. Most of that is done in Asia still. We just basically provide entertainment to the world for the most part. Yeah, we have some industrial stuff which is coming back since the pandemic, but by and large, this ain't Motown anymore. So did they know that? Did they know that in being severed from the US and the rest of the world, that would potentially lead to some ripple effect? Is there some 4D chess being played here? Because my sneaking suspicion, and I don't know how to best articulate this, but I have a feeling that this whole approach that NATO is trying to do right now, maybe it's undoing. I actually, up until this point, I've thought that Russia was the underdog. And I've said that in videos before, in the sense, not compared to Ukraine, but on a global stage. They're the underdog. They have a GDP of 150, 1.5 trillion a year. I think it peaked at like 2.5 trillion compared to, say, Japan, whose GDP is like 10 trillion, or China, who's like 30 now. So they're small potatoes in a GDP sense. But remember, a lot of that money that's going around in Japan, what is it? It's from service-based economies. It's from making vehicles. It's making stuff. It's providing services, doing a lot of stuff that if we went into Mad Max mode ain't gonna matter anymore. Remember those essential jobs? What were the essential jobs? Well, they're the ones that we need in order to survive. You look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What's on the bottom? That's the stuff we need in order to survive. If you don't work in a job that serves the bottom two rungs of that pyramid, what is it? Like food, shelter, security, things of that nature, things that you physiologically need, and you could kind of map that analogy onto society. If you don't work in a field that contributes to those areas, then you're technically not essential. Now, I know everybody's essential. I'm just saying, if you got an OnlyFans, okay, and it comes down to crunch time, you might be on the chopping block. Don't be surprised if your services are no longer required. In fact, they might get more up close and personal. Now, because the oldest profession may actually get a second run. Now, listen, guys, my time is going to run out here. We're out of time. All I can say is prepare now. Shizzy's going to hit the fizzy. It's going to get bad. I'm really interested to see what transpires with this whole Russia, Poland, Germany, Ukraine plane situation. Let me know your theories in the comment section below. And do you think this is a way that the U.S. is trying to game Germany into warring with Russia? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Canadian Prepper out.